they've been absolutely brilliant. They're a joy to watch, and I know Liverpool have been phenomenal in Klopp, but I think Wilder is probably in the running for manager of the year. He's been unbelievable.
Yeah, and to be fair, a lot of people said that their system wouldn't work coming to the Premier League. It was fine in the Championship, but it wouldn't survive the Premier League and they'd be exposed. But they've been so solid, you know. And I remember even talking to John after they played Liverpool at Anfield, where they lost 2-0, which is a credible result for most teams going to Anfield. And he just said that they were really tired at that point of the season, but they were still very composed. Like at no point teams that overran them this year. They, like, even possession wise, they didn't go anywhere and try and sit in. They were well able to play wherever they played, and that was probably the most encouraging thing from me looking at Sheffield United this year. That they fit in so comfortably. And they didn't worry about the question marks about overlapping centre halves or any of that sort of stuff. And they were just a very balanced side.
Okay, that brings us on to, I'm glad you mentioned the soccer now, Colin, because you're going to give us, you're a big Liverpool fan, so you're going to name the all-time 11, your best all-time 11 from, I suppose, since the days you started watching Liverpool.
Yeah, so it's probably from 89, 90 really, to be honest, because before that, I was born in 83, so my memories before that, they weren't great. So I'm going to kick off from maybe 89 to present. So I kicked off with Alisson in goal. I think the goalkeeping spot, like I grew up watching Grobbler, and he was so flamboyant and jumping around the goal and a little bit crazy. But we've had a few questionable goalies since then. You know, when you think of Dudek had his moments, Karius was a disaster. Mignoli never really established himself as a #1 goal. David James had a spell there as well, but I think Alisson, for me, they paid a lot of money for him coming from Roma, but just he's made the whole back four a lot more comfortable, I think, in terms of how they play. Even when a ball comes in the box now, you know he's going to take control of it, and you're not worried. Where when Karius and the rest of them were there, it was kind of calamity stuff. So he's my goalie. Paid a lot of money. A Brazilian goalie coming, people were unsure, but for me, he's been different class and one of the top goalies in the world. So no issues with him. Right back was an easy enough one too. I think Trent has been phenomenal. Yeah. He's only playing what he's doing for Liverpool now in terms of the assists. It's absolutely outstanding. Defensively can still get better. I think Klopp is working on that aspect of his game, but he's so young. I think undoubtedly can become one of the greats at Anfield. I think he could even move into midfield, Bert.
Yeah.
He's that talented. You could see him maybe on the right of a tree in the middle of the field. I think he could give you huge options. Not afraid of a shot. His set piece is unbelievable, and I think the fact he's come through the Liverpool ranks as well, he's going to be a hero in Liverpool for a long time. Next up was probably one of my more debatable ones. I went for Sami Hyypiä.
Okay.
Was a great player. Liverpool signed him, I think, for 2.5 million or 2.6 million. Was a great signing. Liverpool had just qualified for the Champions League at that point, and they were looking to take the club to the next level. I think he was a brilliant player for Liverpool. I think he was captaincy very quickly after joining the club, and was a great servant to Liverpool. And even though it wasn't blessed with lightning pace, but during those years where Liverpool were competitive, I think he was very good with Stefan Henshaw. And I think he was a really good player, so I put him in at centre half. Van Dijk is a no-brainer, unbelievable player. I had a fight with Darren Sullivan yesterday about this in terms of, I said Liverpool have made him a superstar, and he said, was he not a superstar for 75 million? I said he was expensive, but I'm not sure he was a superstar that he is now when he came to Liverpool. He was a good player. But was he the superstar that he was at Celtic and Southampton? Not at all. You know, he's a Champions League winner.
Great. There's that story, because I speak to Darren a fair bit on Twitter. I know he's a big Man United fan. There's that story about Van Dijk, which I'm sure you've heard, when Neil Lennon got him at Celtic. So the scout came in to Neil Lennon and said, look, I have a player for you. He's over playing in Holland. So Lennon says, well, come on, we'll go over and watch him, because the games used to be on Friday nights. So they went over to watch Van Dijk playing with the Dutch team that he was with. And after 45 minutes, Lennon was blown away. So he's looking around the kind of director's box thinking, like, is there any other scouts or anyone else watching? Get down and get the deal done as soon as he can, right? So they got him signed up, and whatever they paid for him at the time, Celtic, it was minimal anyway. So when he arrived into Celtic the first day, Lennon went over and shook his hand and just said, look, welcome, Virgil. He says, just enjoy yourself here. You won't be here too long.
he knew how good he was. Yeah,
He said he was blown away by him.
yeah,
And he said as well, he couldn't believe, because he obviously playing regular, I think he was 2 years with Celtic, but he couldn't believe how none of the big clubs, he was expecting one of the top clubs to come and take him at any moment, but he couldn't believe none of them did, and it was Southampton in the end that actually came and got him.
yeah. I think I enjoyed Neil Warnock on Soccer Saturday one day as well, saying that one of his scout, like his scout was looking at him, and Neil Warnock said, "What about Van Dijk at Celtic?" He said, "No, he's too slow." And what he said, "Yeah, I sacked the scout the following day."
He signed Sol Bamba instead.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. But like Van Dijk is a Rolls Royce. He's like, I talked about Alisson making everyone more comfortable at Liverpool. Van Dijk is as good as I've seen.
I was in Anfield last year. I went over to Liverpool and Man City. It was the game where it was 0-0 now. It was cagey enough, but Mahrez missed the penalty near the end, but he was head and shoulders the best player on the pitch. He was absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. He's a machine. So he was a no-brainer for me. Left back, kind of. I went for Carragher based on, I suppose, what he's done for Liverpool, how long he was there, and his commitment. And I know probably his best years were at centre half, and I picked him probably ahead of Robertson at the moment. I think Robertson could go on to be anything at Liverpool.
Yeah,
I think he's been exceptional again. Robertson was signed for 8 million, I think. But Carragher being a local lad as well, and so passionate about Liverpool, and also was a really good player in his own right. He was no nonsense defender, which is okay too, because I think at the moment some of them think they can play too much. But he
you're in the wrong punditry job. You should be doing our punditry instead of affecting the Sunday game.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But I went for Carragher left back. Look, he's a Liverpool legend, and I think he deserves to be in there. But I'd consider changing that maybe in 5 years' time when I see what Robertson might go on to do. So.
No, that's a fair argument. I'd agree with you. I'm mad about Robertson, but let him go on and do his stuff for the next 3 or 4 years.
He's got a bit to go yet. So middle of the field, I went for Gerrard, obviously. Club legend, 2005, got Liverpool back in the game. Just what he's done. I think that year, West Ham, the FA Cup, last minute goal, but just his all round play, skill level. I think the fact that he stayed at Liverpool all his life, even though the time he nearly went to Chelsea did kind of upset Liverpool, but look, he made the right decision. Phenomenal player in the middle of the park, could pass the ball 60 yards, could barely go from 40 yards, and a real scouser. So that was a no-brainer for me. Tremendous leader and captain as well. On the right of that, probably, I'm not sure if it's going to be controversial or not, but I put in Henderson there because I think he's there 10 years. I think they bought him for 20 million from Sunderland. I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves as a footballer. I think he can play a lot more than people think. He's going to certainly finish. He's Champions League captain last year. He plays every minute for Liverpool. He's rarely injured. I think he's been an outstanding servant for Liverpool. And what I really love about him, Al, is even I saw matches this season where Liverpool might be slightly off the pace, or I saw Trent giving away the ball 3 or 4 times. I think it was away to Wolves, and Henderson was down after him, and he was after him and said, "You better wake up and you better shake yourself up a little bit." And I love that. I absolutely love that in guys. And he's a true leader. And if it wasn't for COVID-19, he'd have the Premier League lifted by now. So to win the Champions League as a captain, to win the Premier League after Liverpool not winning for 30 years, he's squeezed into my team. So and for 20
at the match when I was over there, I've never seen a player that divides kind of opinion more than him. The fella that was sitting next to me was absolutely slaughtering Henderson, and the fella that was sitting this side was giving him the height of praise. Like, and I was kind of chatting amongst them and saying, like, what's going on? And he says, this is the way it is in Liverpool. Half of them are for him, half of them are against him. But I'm with you. I think he's gone on. And this year in particular, he's been absolutely brilliant. And even the stuff off the pitch, Gooch, with all the Premier League players getting stink over the money, he was the driving force behind getting that together, that the money they come up with during the week for the NHS and all. So I think he's a really good, solid fella as well.
Yeah, he's a top leader, and I think Liverpool are a better team when he plays, and his energy is phenomenal. And like you say, his leadership has gone to a new level, and that's coming on the back of Steven Gerrard as well, which is a hard one to follow. So Hindo's in there on my team. Left wasn't a tough decision for me. John Barnes.
Barnes, yeah.
Yeah, I like John Barnes was one of my heroes in the early 90s, 89, 90. Came from Watford, a guy who came over from Jamaica with his family. He like first black player for Liverpool as well. Big thing for to go to Liverpool. People were wondering would he last, would he fit in. He was a phenomenal player for Liverpool, up and down, especially when he played wide left. I think he was an unbelievable player. He was going past guys. He was too strong. He left and right. Probably didn't get the recognition for England maybe that he deserved, but I thought he was a phenomenal player.
Did you watch that Graham Taylor, the documentary? Have you ever seen that, the England one?
No.
Well, in lockdown now, they're on YouTube, right? Watch that. Just type in Graham Taylor documentary. It's absolutely brilliant. And Barnes is heavily involved, and Graham Taylor sticking up for him. It was the time when they were booing him, the England fans, and it was horrendous because what a player he is. But definitely check out that documentary. It's probably the best football documentary I've ever seen. The access to have, Gooch. Cameras in Graham Taylor's pockets, hearing every word he says on the bench and all. Brilliant.
Yeah. So Barnsley in my team, no question about that.
There's one there. I'm looking at the names. Some people are now. Some of them are hilarious. Jimmy Traore and Bruno Chernow and all. You've had barren times, Liverpool, but there's a good one from Cafe Sol Park and what. No Alonso.
He was in there. He was my guy instead of Henderson, and I thought I was in my mind even last night thinking, knowing that I was doing this. I was there. Who do I fit in? It was Alonso or Henderson, because I looked at Mascherano on guys and they were fine, but it was Alonso or Henderson who were going to be in my team, and I went for Hendo based on he's won the Champions League and he's possibly going to go on and captain Liverpool to winning the league, and not just because of that, but I think that he's a much better footballer than people appreciate.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
And I also think that Liverpool made a mistake in selling Alonso when they did, because they were just gathering momentum when himself from Mascherano. When they made a big mistake that time, but look, we can't turn back the clock on that one. Up top, Salah. I think he's been a phenomenal player for Liverpool. Was probably a little bit of a Chelsea reject in some ways before he went down to Roma. People said he couldn't mix in the Premier League. He was too small. It was too physical for him. His numbers are unbelievable, and even people say to me this season he's been poor. I don't think so. Maybe not at the level of the last 2 seasons. But he's still so threatening. And I can guarantee you ask any left back in the Premier League, would they like ask Enda Stevens how he'd get on with Salah? Yeah, and I tell you, he might even come back with a text on this one. But I tell you, he'd probably be one of the most challenging guys you'd mark in the Premier League. He's been a revelation for Liverpool, and there's talks about him leaving in the summer or leaving fairly soon. I wouldn't like to see it happen. There's a lot of talk about Sancho and there's
Enda's come back. He said he was in his pocket.
I was watching the wrong game, so I was watching a different game.
Brilliant, Enda, brilliant.
But look, Salah for me is probably one of Liverpool's best signings.
I just find him, the only issue I have with him, Gooch, he's a bit greedy, and I'm not gone on him now. His numbers are phenomenal. I know he's been great with Liverpool. I'm not mad about him.
Whose numbers in that position are better in the league?
Oh, well, that's the thing. But just from a preference I prefer Mane on the other side. I'm a big Mane fan.
Well, as you say, Mane, he's in my team on the other side.
Okay.
Look, incredible player. Liverpool signed him for about 35 million from Southampton. I thought he'd be a good signing. I didn't think he'd be as good as, or kicked on to what he is now.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Phenomenal pace. I think he's developed his game. Sometimes frustrates me a little bit by giving the ball away, but we'll fight and get it back in a couple of seconds. Feel like it.
That's where I think he's much better than Salah.
Wonderful attitude. Yeah, he's a wonderful attitude, and he's got goals. His finishing now is much better than it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And again, stunning signing. And like, I've good chats with the United lads here, and they've given me about a stick about different fellas. But like Salah, Mane, Van Dijk, Hupia, they all became better players when they came to Liverpool. So look, that's a big thing for me. And I suppose coming to the last guy up top, this was the one that gave me trouble.
Okay.
This was the one that woke me up at 2 o'clock last night. You have Fowler, you have Michael Owen, you have Rush, you have Torres, but I didn't go for any of them.
Gooch. Who did you go for? Don't tell me. Out of them 4, you didn't go for any of those?
No.
Okay, go on.
I went for Suarez.
Did you?
Yeah.
Suarez, yeah.
I think he's an absolutely unbelievable player. Like, and again, he came from Ajax. And look, I know the stuff that he gets up to and the biting and being a pain in the ass. But as a footballer, absolutely phenomenal. Touch, scoring. He chases fellas down. I'd say he'd be a nightmare for centre half. If he was chasing down John Egan, I know Egan would be falling over.
Could John Egan deal with him?
I don't think so.
The only one I disagree with, John, and on the Suarez thing, you hear Carragher, Gerrard done a thing with Gary Neville, you know, the telly box thing or whatever to do, and he was raving about him, Suarez, just how good he was, and even though he said he had a better relationship with Torres because they worked so well together, he still said Suarez was a better player. The only one I would disagree, I'd have Torres in for how good he was at Liverpool. I know things went pear-shaped from when he left, but I'd have him instead of Salah.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't play in that position, but I'd
still try and get him in.
Well, I'll fight you for another reason on it.
Okay.
Torres missed a lot of matches. Suarez never missed matches, and Salah...
No. I'd have Suarez, but I'd have Torres instead of Salah.
Okay. But Torres didn't miss a lot of matches when he was at Liverpool.
Yeah, but he was phenomenal at Liverpool.
Yeah.
When he played, he was a game changer for them. Like, he was... The difference, they were an okay team without him, but he was in the team that were competing with any team in the Premier League at the time.
Yeah, he was a phenomenal player, and look, it was coming down to the two of them because I think Michael Owen was a good player, Fowler was a good player, Rush was a big hero of mine growing up, but it was between Torres and Suarez, and I don't think you can ever forgive a fella for going for 50 million to Chelsea either.
Oh. On that one as well, here's one for you. I know I mentioned the documentary. Have you listened to Michael Owen on the Jamie Carragher podcast?
Not yet.
Unreal, Gooch.
Yeah.
It'll give you a whole different perception of Michael Owen.
Why so?
Just how honest he is, and now he's a bit deluded on how things finished at Liverpool. He was trying to argue with Carragher, and it's the reason it's so good is because it's like me and you two mates just chatting, right? But the reason it's so good is because Carragher goes for him on everything about the moves, and they go into every detail. They even mention wages and the money and everything. It's unreal. And Owen argues back that when he went into Liverpool's team as a young fella, and Carragher went in as a young fella, and Carragher was just an average enough player going in, but he's turned himself into a club legend, and he goes back to the club. He can't understand how he's not a club legend when he goes back to Liverpool. Even though, and then Carragher saying, well, you moved, and he says, I'll allow you the Real Madrid move. He says, that's fair enough.
He went to United.
He
went to United.
But this is the thing. Carragher says, I'll allow you that one, even though I didn't want it to go, and it was probably from a selfish reason. But then when he says about the Newcastle one, and then he says, of all of them, then he went to United. He says, how are the fans ever going to... So he's deluded on that one, but he's brilliant on how he reckons when he was between 8 and I think he said 19 or 20, he was the best player in the world, he says, right? And Carragher was like, what, in the world? He says, yeah, I was the best player in the world between 8 and 20. And he says, from 21 downwards, my career was in decline because of the injuries. It's brilliant, Coach.
Yeah. I know he had a beanie's bonnet with Shearer as well about the time when he was at Newcastle, Michael Owen.
Yeah, he fell out with Shearer. Shearer said he was deluded on that as well because the deal, he went to Newcastle for all the wrong reasons. It was a disgrace what he did.
The cash?
It was, but he wanted to go back to Liverpool and it fell through because Liverpool were only willing to pay 8 million at the time.
Yeah.
And Newcastle came in with a bit of 15, I think it was. So Real Madrid says, no, you're going to Newcastle, we're getting 15 million. And he knew they wanted him out. So Carragher was saying, Carragher's brilliant on it, like so scouts. He said, why didn't you ring Freddie Shepherd and said, tell him to fuck off, why are you putting in bids and all, I don't want to go to your club. So they got into a transfer saga and he says, Carragher was saying, well look, I don't understand that, I never left. So Owen was trying to explain to him what happened. But he tried to put an agreement in the deal that I'll go to Newcastle for a year, but then Liverpool can buy me the following year, which was a disgrace, and it never happened, obviously. And he went to Newcastle for all the wrong reasons. But the podcast is one of the best I've ever heard. Yeah,
well, I think when he went to United, I think the Liverpool legend piece, it was diluted. It was diluted.
Forget about it. No. And he's deluded on that. That's where, he still thinks in his head, I should still be able to go back to Anfield and everybody love me and all. And people are like, Carragher would say, that's never going to happen. And they're best mates, great roommates, best friends. But he said, Carragher is brilliant on it. It's really good.
Yeah.
So check it out. Do check it out and come back to me. Check out Graham Taylor and check out Michael Owen. And Gooch, that team is unbelievable. The only one I'd argue with was Salah for Torres, but other than that, and the whole chat's been brilliant. And I really appreciate you on a Saturday night taking your time to chat with us. You were my favourite Gaelic player, the best of them all, and you're a gentleman as well. So thanks very much. See you, Gooch.
Take care, man.
See you, pal.